So the director of the Economic Modelling Academy and professor of practice at the University of Johannesburg, Dr Pali Lehohla, has questioned the declaration of state of disaster to respond to the electricity crisis and its effects. Lehohla has also raised concern on the appointment of the Minister of Electricity. He joins us now to elaborate on his opinion piece. Thank you very much, sir, for availing yourself this afternoon. Before we kick off the conversation, let's take a listen at what the Secretary General of the African National Congress had to say about the Minister of Electricity.
So the Minister of Electricity, Mr. Project Manager, who will deal with electricity intervention, will deal with that. There will be no Deputy Minister. The Minister of Electricity, focusing on resolving the electricity crisis as part of the intervention. Over and above, working within the realm of disaster management and everything else as a package. And bundling of ESCOM, all of those things must happen. ESCOM will move from Department of Public Enterprise to Mineral and Energy. And we're discussing, among others, what will happen to Department of Mineral and Energy in the long term, not now. In this reconfigured arrangement. A lot of departments are going to be reconfigured.
So, Dr. Lehohla, you have asked whether this move makes sense, and that was the Secretary General speaking on Friday following the State of the Nation address, giving more detail. So he calls the Electricity Minister Mr. Project Manager. And so when we take a look at the job specs of a project manager, what do they do?
Well, the project manager is somebody who has absolute responsibility on the project, given the mandate and the resources to do so. In the case of providing electricity to the nation, the project manager is a person with a technical skill to understand what it takes to provide electricity, to produce electricity and so on. And I think the CEO of ESCOM will be a well-placed person to do so. And the board, of course, providing oversight, will be well-positioned to do so. So I don't know what kind of project manager is this. I don't know whether he's a project sponsor or a project manager, because I think the project sponsor is the board and the project manager is the CEO of ESCOM, who should, at a technical level, understand the engineering requirements for providing electricity. In that respect, supported by an economists who understand the economic value that is projected and generated by an institution such as ESCOM, and not an accountant. An accountant comes later to look at the rands and cents and how they move. But the economic value of ESCOM and what it delivers resides with the chief economist at ESCOM and the people who are below him. So project manager is CEO of ESCOM. If you put a minister there as a project manager, then there are dual and triple mandates, especially as ESCOM will still report to the Minister of Energy and also to, or rather not to the Minister of Energy, but to DPME and the Minister of Energy. I think this is interestingly piling people on top of each other in a situation of a crisis. And that will precipitate the crisis.
But wait, there's more, because the Secretary General goes on to say that ESCOM will move to the Department of Energy.
Well, that's what the resolution of the African National Congress said in relation to SOEs. And I think for me that's a right move to place these SOEs where they really belong. Obviously, there is something that has to be managed there from between policy and execution, and the move of all SOEs under DPME, or not DPME, but Department of Enterprises, was another good move. But once these things are removed from where they actually are operational, it creates a hiatus. And I think we have seen the consequences of that hiatus of being removed from where they are. I think that move is the correct move to put ESCOM back into energy, and it executes that mandate closer to the policy that designs it. How you coordinate all the policies are not a matter of whether the person reports to a ministry, but it's more the policy design at the government level. I mean, there was never a minister of apartheid, but apartheid was well executed. So in terms of ministries like energy, ESCOM going back to energy, that's the right move. But what then it implies for the Minister of Energy and the Minister of DPN, the enterprises, when that still exists, I think that we are going to see a lot more public admin spaghetti that doesn't have an end and a start. And I think it will be lost in that confusion.
Sure. You also note that the President spoke of rolling out generators and rooftop solar panels, but you believe that this is mission impossible. Why?
Well, I mean, how many businesses do we have, small businesses do we have? From a point of view of the statistician general's report, there are about 1.5 million of these small businesses that may be affected by electricity, 1.5 million. There are, in terms of the statistician general's report, about 15 million households that actually may not afford an inverter or a generator. Therefore, there are about 16,500,000 units that will require these rooftops and generators in a space of 12 months. Now, where will they be produced? How will they be deployed? And so on and so on. Even that 1.5 million is already a lot because we have to add another million middle, medium, and large businesses. How do you actually deploy that? Where are they generated? Where are they produced? How are they delivered? How are they connected? And what do you do with the population, 15 million of them, households, that will need a similar treatment? Because when electricity goes, for people who don't have access to biomass, who don't have access to the electricity that they had gotten used to, when they don't have access to when they cannot afford inverters and generators, what happens to them? I think the idea that this thing can be rolled out is a mission impossible. What needs to be done is to focus on generating electricity through coal and ensuring that the grid as it stands is accessible to the poor. That's the focus for the next 12 months. All these other things are really a waste of time. Well, it's good to think about not burning the climate. But for now, for the next 12 months, if we could focus on only generation of electricity through this, we will be fine. I mean, by the way, ESCOM has been destroyed by government. First, it was corporatized. Then, after corporatization, the Greens came, or rather the renewables, and as they came, ESCOM had to buy electricity from them. At that time, it was at a high price. And ESCOM had to resist that. It was correct in resisting buying electricity at a price it cannot sell. And that increased the burden of ESCOM. It had to fend off all these initiatives by government. And then finally, the Greens have to be, and then of course, maintenance became a problem, and government itself is refusing to pay ESCOM what is due to it. So in the process, we can see center and front, back, and center on this is government ineptness that has caused these woes to ESCOM. We don't condone the corruption and everything that has been there in ESCOM, but it was inspired by the government ineptness of dealing with matters energy.
Thank you very much to Dr Pali Lehohla. He's the director of the Economic Modeling Academy and a professor of practice at the University of Johannesburg.